Greetings. We are still trying to prove and to show that Christians, not all Christians, Zionist Christians, and not all Christians are Zionists, that Christian Zionists or the Zionists among Christians are the worst of the worst among the Antichrists. And in today's video, I'm going to start a new series about Paul. Now, Paul was a man from the Israelis, from the Benjamin tribe. And this guy, as a young man, was like a worker under the priest, the rabbis, the preachers of the Jews. He used to protect their belongings. When he grew up, they sent him on a mission to bring those disciples, the followers of Jesus, who ran to Syria, Damascus. He wanted to bring them back to be put in prison at Jerusalem. And he lies and claims that on the way he heard a voice from the heaven saying, "Why you are persecuteth me?" And Shaul, his name was Shaul, he answered, "Who are you, Lord?" And then he got blinded, and he went to one of the disciples. He opened his eyes, and blah blah blah, a story full with lies. He had company with him on the way to Damascus. Nobody heard that voice except him. Obvious lie. And the proof is what comes next. Not from the story only. So this is his story, not history. Alright, now in those videos I'm going to show you how Paul is the worst of the worst among the Antichrist, and how much of a liar and blasphemous he was. Solid proofs from the books. I'm not creating, I'm not inventing, I'm not lying. Alright, Paul started his missionary, in hope that he can destroy the message of Jesus by following his disciples and destroying his disciples. Now, when this did not work, Paul had another plan. He's very clever. And he made the most satanic plan in the history of mankind. And guess what happened? He succeeded so much, so well. The greatest success. Jesus turned into a complete failure so that this man may succeed so well. And this man was able to fool a whole nation called Christians. This is amazing. One man to fool all those. A man that didn't claim that God spoke to him, like they claim Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam fooled all Muslims, but Muhammad said the Lord told him. But this Paul did not say the Lord told me. Muhammad spoke the truth, but this man was a liar, one of the children of his father of lies, Satan. Okay, now let's see. If you remember in one of the tapes, I started, discussing the Antichrist. In the first tape I said, tape number 1 I think, how do we understand the word Antichrist? Antichrist. They don't know. They have no clue. So the simplest way I put it, I said, okay, clockwise, turning in like a clock. No, anti-clockwise, turning in the opposite direction. So, Christ-like, what Jesus says, Antichrist is the opposite of what he says. Denying, abolishing, disrupting, destroying the message of the man. This is the Antichrist. And here was the first and the worst ever Antichrist, this Paul, who used to be named Shaul, from the Benjamin, the Israeli tribe, Benjamin. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 17. Jesus said, now Jesus. So what Jesus said, we need to see what Paul had to say. Did he approve, or he spoke against Antichrist? Jesus said, I did not come to abolish the law and the prophets, which Christians and Jews say this is the Old Testament. No, it is not. But let's go along with this pretend. Now, the Christians, the smart, or among the Christians who play foolish games, they said, okay, but to fulfill, he said, I did not come to abolish, but to fulfill. And they say, oh, he died on the cross, it is fulfilled. So I went to the dictionary to look out fulfill, because they don't do that. They accept every lie their preachers, priests, and pastors say. So when I look fulfill in the dictionary, it says get rid of. Get rid of. So if it was fulfilled, meaning, finished, so we are getting rid of. But Jesus did not say, I'm coming to get rid of the law and the prophets. I came to apply. In Greek, pragmatopioso, assure, observe, apply, not to do, to get rid of. So if his crucifixion got rid of the law and the prophet, this is not what Jesus meant. Another, meaning, it says eliminate, destroy, completely destroy, eliminate. Then why he quoted from the books of law? Many of his verses. He went back to the book and he said, read scripture. Why read something that you eliminated? Because he did not. It is not fulfill in this sense. Fulfill is apply, observe, and follow. But how little those ignorant who try to play stupid games around this, oh, it is fulfilled, it's finished. Another meaning, put down. Did Jesus come to put down the law and the prophets? Well, some of his sentences may sound like it. They say, Moses told you to give a paper of divorce, but I say if you divorce, you put your wife into adultery. So this contradiction is addition, it's not contradiction, it's not elimination. He did not come to eliminate or to put down the book, the law. He quoted the law, the books of law, many times, according to Christian New Testament. Put an end to, the same thing. Bring to an end, the same thing. He did not. Stop, eradicate. Jesus did not say that. It was fulfilled, but to fulfill means to continue. He ordered his disciples and the people, the followers, to do their sacrifices, to pray, to fast, all this in the book of law. He came to fulfill, meaning observe and follow and adopt and obey and make others follow and obey. No, dear ignorant, it wasn't fulfilled in the sense put down, get rid, eradicate, and so on. No, you are lying. Now, Paul's job in his agenda, satanic agenda, was to destroy this message, to go anti this message, what Jesus brought. And we need to prove this. And he succeeded so bad. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4. The God of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers. So according to Paul now, we have a God of this world, Satan. But Jesus said, I did not come to abolish the law and the prophets. And the law and the prophets say that there is only one God and there is no other. Now here Paul is coming to demean, put down, destroy, eradicate by saying, no, 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 no. There is another God and he is the God of this world. Yes, Christians believe in a God of this world, not the God that there is no other. Because the God that there is no other, he is not Trinity, 3 in 1, discount, like the Baptist God. He's one and there is no other, every which way you look at him. Okay, so now we have two gods. Thank you, Paul. And thank you, Christians, for following this lie. We have God Satan and God the Father. Thank you so much. So all the verses, many verses in the Old Testament, one God and there is no other. One God and there is no other. No, there is another, according to Paul. And God says there is no other, Paul says no, there is another. And guess who Christians followed? Now, I understand Satan can do so much and can influence us in a bad way. But no matter what Satan does not elevate him to become a God for this world. The God of this world is God himself. He created this. Satan did not create anything. Very well. So even Jesus, who said, I did not come to abolish, to put down, to end, to demean, to eradicate, then Jesus said that God is one, there is no other. And I challenge the Baptists, those miserable, that say Jesus is God, making Jesus a God for worship. Bring me one verse from Jesus saying he is God. One time. Only one verse. Not the Father and I am and the Father and I are one, and the Alpha, the Omega, evil stuff you twist so bad with your brainless attitude. I'm saying clearly, read my lips. I want from Jesus a word saying, like the Old Testament, the God of the Old Testament. He said, I am God and there is no other. Bring me something like this, that Jesus spoke like this God of the Old Testament. He's saying, I am God and there is no other. You have my email under the video on YouTube. Just send me a message. Show me, prove it. But don't bring me your stupidity, twisting the verbs, the verses. No, listen, read my lips. I want, from Jesus, like God in the Old Testament said, I am God and there is no other. Bring me something like God. Jesus speaking like God of the Old Testament. Jesus never did. Jesus never said, worship me. But the Lord said, worship me. Jesus never spoke like the Lord. Ever. You twist in an evil manner the verses to fit your sick reasoning and false translation. All right. Now, we notice that Paul was the first to bring this evil lie that Jesus was the Son of God. Now, I know some Christians, they claim, and they are ignorant about this, that Matthew and John were among the disciples of Jesus Christ. No, they were not. They came long after Paul, and they copied from Paul. Matthew, in a matter of fact, the worst among them, he copied everything from Mark and the Old Testament. Brainless. He doesn't even have the power to think. He didn't say Jesus, this, and he said this is Jesus. So he copied from the Old Testament and they say, this is Jesus. No, it isn't. He twisted everything from the Old Testament and say Jesus. No, it isn't. He was lying. If he was with Jesus, even the way he speaks will be different. But it isn't. He is telling us a story. And John, after we have seen Paul speaking and sending letters to 7 churches, we see John sending messages and letters to different 7 churches. So John was in the 3rd or 4th century when we had so many churches in the Roman Empire. A lot of churches. He wasn't during the life of Jesus. During the life of Jesus, there were no churches. But Matthew lied and said, church and priest and so on. Because he came like 300 years after, when they had churches. During Jesus' time, there were temples. All right, very well. So this ignorant liar, Paul, he said he was the first one to say Jesus was the Son of God. Everybody else copied from him and accused Jesus of saying that he was the Son of God. Now, the book of John, chapter 5, verse 37. And the Father, Jesus saying, and the Father who sent me has himself testified concerning me. Now, the first thing, I'm going to continue the verse, but the first thing we hear, many times Jesus say, the Father sent me, that he sent me. And when we say to the idiots and the ignorant, he was a messenger, say, no, how dare you? Then you don't understand what the meaning of sent me. That you know that he sent me. He's a messenger. And in other verses, he say, no prophet is more insulted except among his people. He was a prophet. So when the Muslims say he was a prophet, ignorance is very dangerous. Very dangerous. But this tape is going to be very long, so I'm going to cut it short. We'll continue next time. Take care.